Okay, we are live. So let me open the chat.
Awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and pull Christian in through this, so he's on.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And I'll just keep him on the entire time. And what we can do, the slides, let me show you guys them real quick. You can still see my screen?
No,
we're looking at Nathan's.
Hey, how's it going, Chris? Can you hear us? Great. Can you hear Nathan? Nathan, can you say something?
Chris, how you doing, man?
You don't hear him. Okay.
We don't hear.
See, that's one of the reasons it's going to be weird. But
yeah, I can't hear him either.
How long would that take you to do? Yeah. Why don't you reboot to Windows, and can you still demo Copernic in Windows? I think you can.
Stream should be up.
Great.
Let me see. It says stream crashed? ? I don't think so. Playing video live.
Okay. Hey Nathan, do you have Skype installed?
Yeah.
We might want to get Christian to. You might want to call Nathan directly then, because that way the sound should be picked up by his thing. But if Nathan can't hear it, the people who are viewing our stream won't be able to hear it. So why don't we try to do that, Nathan? If you could open up Skype, I'll send you Chris's Skype name. And Chris, just hang tight and wait for a call from Nathan, or a contact request from Nathan.
Yeah, what's his name?
I'm gonna send it to you in just a second. You'll get a call from us in just a moment, Chris. He sent it to me in Getter.
Oh, look at that. I've apparently won $50,000 in the United Nations Poverty Eradication Program. And I have a secret code.
We should build them a website.
Wow, the United Nations is choosing to focus its money on you, of all people.
It's amazing.
Poverty eradication.
Yeah,
the guy with the luxury apartment in Seoul.
I don't have a luxury apartment in Seoul. Now, hold on.
You almost accepted that, I saw. So we're gonna have people on this stream now from the U.S., Korea, Mexico. We should just call up the Copernic stakeholder Amber in Indonesia.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Awesome. Guys, on the stream, can you guys hear Chris okay?
Somebody has stream crashed. Okay, the stream hasn't crashed. Chris Hutchison also is Chris gonna demo something as well?
I don't know.
Chris Hutchison?
Okay, everyone in stream saying. Oh,
they can hear Chris, but we cannot hear Chris. So when I say Chris, I'll say Christian Barros. There are a lot of Chris's. We can't hear him. Me and Michael can't hear him.
Yeah.
But there's nothing we can really do about it. So you're going to be the liaison to talk to him, if that's okay.
You want me to reboot?
To what?
To reboot
you can kind of liaise
computer so I can connect to Stream Hero?
If you want to,
Because
if you can reboot into Windows and come into Screen Hero pretty quickly, that may be superior to Skype. It's up to you.
Okay, it's
the problem is a
so
lot of
I
his
can hear
credentials are
via Quincy too,
in
since
Linux.
I only can
He may
hear
not be able to
you.
get the app to work in Windows.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, whichever is easier for you, man.
I'm okay with this. So I don't even know if I can share the screen through Linux. So let's start by trying this.
Okay.
And so. uh,
All right. I see your screen, Chris.
Fine, nice. You can see my screen, right, sir?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, don't call me sir. I work for a living, man. Yeah, I can see your screen. Everything looks good. It's a mighty fun text editor you have there.
Okay, well, if you can share my screen, Nathan, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay. So Chris, we're going to turn over to Quincy real quick, and then we'll come back and demo your stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just hang out on the line and watch the stream. Yeah, Quincy, go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Hey, good morning / afternoon / evening campers. I'm Quincy, and I'm here in San Francisco. And I just want to quickly introduce the people that are going to be on the stream before I get started. Nathan Terakilobyte is hosting, and he's based in
Okay.
Seoul, Korea. And he's going to be talking a little bit about the technology today. And Michael Johnson is based in Washington, D.C., aka Code Nonprofit, and he's our nonprofit coordinator, and he'll be talking about that a little bit. And then we'll have some demonstrations of some of the things we've built at the end of this. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If I can remember how to play slideshow. Okay, so this is our first ever camp-wide meeting, and I really appreciate you guys coming. Feel free to ask any questions you want in the chat, but I'm just going to basically talk for the next 8 or 9 minutes, and we'll definitely go through and get to your questions toward the end of this. So the agenda is I'm going to talk about our new challenges, then Nathan's going to talk about our updated point system, Michael is going to talk about our nonprofit projects, and then we have some demos. So currently we have about 100 hours of challenges, and these are challenges from all over the internet. We have Stanford courses, we have courses from General Assembly Dash and Code School and Code Academy, and these are okay. I mean, they're the best that the internet has to offer, in my opinion. That's why we chose them to be our challenges, but they're not necessarily the best that could be. So we are trying to create our own challenges. Previously, we had about 100 hours of challenges, and then the assumption was the other 900 hours of instruction would be experiential learning, completing projects for nonprofits. However, we think that there may now be a better approach that better prepares our campers for our nonprofit projects. And that would involve 100 hours of waypoints, which is what we're going to be calling our old challenges, and then about 100 hours of bonfire challenges, zipline challenges, and base jump challenges. and I'm going to get into what those are in just a moment, followed by about 800 hours of nonprofit projects. Now, at this point, we've had some campers complete nonprofit projects, but we haven't actually had a camper who's completed several consecutive nonprofit projects and gotten a job yet. So we're only 5 months in. We haven't yet fully learned exactly what this workflow is going to be like for people, but generally boot camps and other like masters in computer science programs and stuff generally tend to be about 1,000 hours of instruction. So we're shooting for about 1,000 hours. So first I want to talk about waypoints. Our current challenges are mostly video based, and a video gives you some links and you follow those links and you go create an account at an external page. Well, we have a vision for something where you don't even need to leave freeCodeCamp. Basically, we're planning to gradually replace our existing challenges with our own interactive lessons called waypoints. They're going to be short, 1 to 2 minutes each, and you'll do exactly one thing in them. For example, if a waypoint says to create a P tag with the text cat photo app, then you would just create that P tag within a text editor, and once the tests realize that you've completed that, you've created that P tag, it would just kick you to the next challenge, and you'd create, an image, for example. So basically, you're going to be doing things step by step, and each step will take about 1 to 2 minutes. Each of these will be a waypoint. And we're going to have them be fully interactive. There won't be any videos. There will just be in-editor coding. The reason we're choosing to do fully interactive as opposed to videos is because we think that people can get into a flow state where they're just rapidly learning and moving forward without having to stop and watch videos. Videos actually aren't that popular with people in general. A lot of campers just dive right in and follow the instructions, and we try to give detailed instructions so you don't even have to watch the videos if you don't want to on our current challenges. But this isn't just us. Khan Academy and a lot of other providers have started to realize that videos are kind of old school, and nobody wants to watch people talk like you guys are doing right now. They want to actually do stuff. So we'll have those short interactive challenges, and they'll cover everything from basic HTML all the way up to advanced JavaScript. We're thinking design patterns, functional programming. You can cover a lot in 100 hours if you are moving rapid fire and if you know exactly what you want to teach and you teach it well. And so because it's 100 hours, if you do the math, 2 minutes, that's going to be about 3,000 individual lessons. So this is going to be a massive amount of effort that's going into building these, and we're going to stage roll out them. So the first things we'll do, we'll replace the General Assembly Dash courses with waypoints on HTML and CSS, for example. Next, let's talk about bonfires. Nathan, who's going to talk in a moment, was instrumental in helping build the infrastructure that allows us to have these bonfires. We originally built them because we were unsatisfied with CodePen and Code Wars and a lot of the other tools out there, which are good in their own right, but weren't exactly what our campers needed, which was straightforward and fast without any sort of compilation and purely focused on JavaScript development. So our fast-paced JavaScript algorithm challenges, bonfires, are not going to change, but we're trying to build more of them, and especially the medium to difficult range. And we would love it if anyone watching, any of our campers would like to contribute these. It's a great way to get some practice, both writing JavaScript and writing tests for JavaScript. And it'll be a great first step for you to become a contributor to the freeCodeCamp open source project. And if you want some information about how to do that, please PM me or Nathan, and we would love to show you how to do that. It's basically, you just need to change a single JSON file, and you can build bonfires that way, and you can test them locally and everything. Next, let's talk about zip lines. Zip lines are a new form of challenge that are focused around doing front-end development. So we're going to use CodePen. if you haven't used CodePen before, it's a great editor where you can basically put your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript and instantly see what happens with it and how it'll render. And so the zip lines are basically HTML, CSS, and JavaScript-based challenges, but they're not pure front-end challenges. We actually want you to work with real data. So we're going to be basically giving you data from an API in JSON format, and then your job will be to parse that data properly and beautifully render it. And that's where the artistry of HTML and CSS will come into play. Is you'll want to render these data in a good way, like something like, how does Twitter render the data that is the tweets? Well, they put a lot of time and energy into hierarchy and white space and fonts and colors, and you can do the same. And there will be dozens of these to choose from, but you'll probably only need to complete 10 or so of them. We haven't decided on an exact number, but we're gonna see and feel it out. Again, our emphasis is both on aesthetics and on quickly taking data from an API and rendering it in a visually compelling way. So this will flex a lot of muscles, and this is a great step. Building single page applications in CodePen is a great step toward doing full stack application development with base jumps. So base jumps are going to be the last challenge, and they will prepare you to actually build full stack solutions for nonprofits. And we wanted to gradually ramp up toward this rather than just drop you in. And we have good news. We've managed to get all of this working in Cloud9, which is a web-based integrated development environment, IDE. So you don't need to worry about installing Linux or installing Git or installing the mean stack or getting the C libraries in place so that you can run everything. You don't need to worry about like screwing up your hard disk and doing a bunch of Linux commands. Like basically, you can do everything right in your browser on a controlled online instance. It's quite powerful, and I spent the last day or two playing around with it and getting it to do interesting things. And you can even deploy directly from Cloud9 to Heroku. So the code never needs to even touch your local machine. You could be using Windows. You could be using a freaking Surface, and you'd still be able to code. You wouldn't have to worry about what your local file system looks like at all. You can do it on a work computer. So there are a lot of benefits to doing everything in the browser. Also, Cloud9 has built-in collaboration tools, which are really powerful. So the base jumps are going to involve you building full CRUD applications, which are basically the backbone of web development employment these days. Everybody needs, a CRM system or some sort of integration where they can quickly go in and create invoices and update them and delete them. So you'll get a lot of practice building these types of systems with both Express.js and AngularJS, where you can build some more sophisticated views. And mean.js is a wonderful rollout for that. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Nathan to talk about our new point system.
All right, thanks, Quincy. I'm going to switch over to my screen here. So we've heard you guys. You wanted UX improvements, UI improvements. Well, one of the first things we did was we had to overhaul our entire point system in order to bring a lot of stuff online. It's mostly transparent to you guys, but in structuring everything to work with the new coursewares and the new challenge in general, there were a lot of changes that went into the back as well as the front. So the first thing that you guys will notice is when we push this live, you will see on everyone's profile like a GitHub type streak map. And we calculate your longest streak and the current streak that you're on. I happen to be on 3 each just because I had dummy data loaded in here. The next thing is that when you complete a challenge, you will see that the points automatically go up We've also heard your cries and pleas that points get reset when you switch between bonfires and courses. That no longer happens anymore. If I were to go back to, I don't want to give any answers away, but so completing this one, had I not completed this, I would have gotten a point. So there's no longer duplicated points for completing the same challenges. The other thing is we've tied news integration a little more. So submitting a story to Camper News will award you a point as well. And if you receive an upvote to one of your stories, you will also receive a point for that. And all this will transfer back into your heat map. As you can see, I'm starting to get more items added from everything. So the last thing, we've heard of you. We have. All right. We promised that it was coming. And here it is. You guys, there is a list of bonfires that you can see, and you can jump around. You could complete this one, and if you click on next bonfire, it will take you back to your next bonfire in this list. And that is the point system in short.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Nathan. Now I'd like to hand things over to Michael Johnson. If you could share my screen again, I'm going to show this slide while Michael Johnson talks briefly. Michael?
Hi, guys. I'd like to begin by thanking all of the campers who are contributing to our ongoing nonprofit projects. We're about to begin our 12th project so far this year. And in fact, last week was our first delivered project in freeCodeCamp history, which was a Chrome extension to benefit the Kopernik Wonder Women's Initiative in rural Indonesia. So Kopernik supplies life-changing technologies such as water filters, stoves, and solar-powered lights to villages throughout the country. And so for Kopernik, campers Chris Barrios and Alex Black Jr. face the challenge of not only replacing their paper receipts from these sales with electronic forms, but also the challenge of working with end users who have unreliable internet connections for uploading these data from their villages. And using the skills Chris and Alex developed at freeCodeCamp, they built an extension that blew away the Kopernik team and that will make a real impact on the Kopernik project. So that gave us our first real success story of what can happen when motivated developers are connected with organizations in need. So huge virtual round of applause is in order for Chris and Alex for cutting the ribbon, so to speak. Yes, yay, on what is the first of many success stories to come. The only other thing I'd like to add is, excuse me, I'd like to remind you all that freeCodeCamp doesn't have an advertising budget. We don't advertise. People only hear about freeCodeCamp if you tell them about it. So please retweet the things we share. Please tell the world we do pro bono work. Please tell everybody you know. We want to keep enough new projects coming in to give all campers who finish their challenges, base jumps, zip lines, a chance to donate their time and new skills. So to close up, thank you all for being a part of FCC and coding for a cause. And with that, I think Quincy and the team want to give Chris Barrios a chance to tell you firsthand about his experiences with the Kopernik project.
Chris, if you're ready to present, go ahead and share your screen.
Hi Nathan, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Fine, thanks. I'll share again. I didn't have it shared, so I could keep up with the stream since my connection is not very good.
It's okay. We'll make do.
Okay, so you tell me when I.
Okay, I can see your Trello board, and I saw the Copernic app for a second there.
Yeah, and I just wanted to show the what's the starting point for our project.
The starting point for the project? So what you were given to work off initially?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm live, right? So I don't know the Twitch stream open, so I don't know if I'm streaming.
I think we're still streaming. You might want to close the freeCodeCamp the Twitch tab while you're trying to stream, just in case.
Okay. Okay, can you see the form?
Yep, I see a receipt number and some areas to collect data.
Yeah. Well, this form is currently filled up by Copernic agents, which are just regular women from Indonesia with sell technology to their communities, showing a role of leaders in the improvement of the quality of life of their communities. So they sell things like stoves and water filters, and these regions are really remote. So there might be weeks happening before they send back the receipts of what they sell to Copernic and get back more stock or that were missing when they at the time that that they sold them. So it's a difficult process for the organization. Also, since there are remote places and there is a formal mail system. Many of this receipts gets lost along the way. So what Copernic wants is to make this digital, so they can submit these forms as soon as possible and improve the way they handle the inventory, sales, and also the tracking of the crucial data from the customers and the agents.
Okay. So it's going to help people in remote areas.
What? Yeah, it's going to help people in remote areas. So one of the limitations of what we were told to do is that people using the software or application don't have a formal computer experience or any computer experience. So the challenge was making this the most familiar to them. So they felt like they were just transpassing data from one place to the app and don't get lost along the way. So the format was asked to be as similar as possible to what they see on the form.
Okay.
Okay. So the first challenge was choosing a technology on how to approach this, because the other big requirement and maybe the real challenge of the app was that most of the times they don't have an internet connection, and they only have sporadically connection, and maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. So the data has to be stored locally and sent as soon as they have connection, and that may happen at any time. So we started by choosing the available possibilities. First, we tried to make it using local storage, which can be found across any browser. But the problem with that is that it requires a server. So if you use something like this, for example, using this format, the local storage doesn't work since it's bound to a domain. And so using just plain HTML for the solution was discarded. But we came across with using a Chrome extension. And well, this is the final result of the form, and you can compare it with what was asked, and it's pretty spot on with what was being required, because Chrome extension has its own storage, local storage, which is similar to the standard, but can work offline. So that's how we went. And we chose the Chrome extension as our deployment platform. It also has many benefits, such as automatic updates. So this way, it can be automated, upgraded without the intervention of the user, and that has many benefits. As updating an app usually is done either on the server side or doing manual updates. And since the users maybe they won't be even installing the app themselves, that could be harder. And this way, it's very straightforward.
Well, it looks great, Chris. You and Alex did a really good job. How did your interaction with the nonprofit stakeholder go?
Yeah, well, our stakeholder was Amber from Copernic, and I think we got very lucky since, for starters, she's a web developer also with maybe 15 years of experience, and so she really knew what wasn't working when there were bugs, and also she was pretty clear in giving us the requirements or new features to be fixed, as she already knew where specifically within the app was the thing that needed update. About usability also, there were some quirks, like, for example, inputting a price, just some automatic stuff here. And we have some problems with this field, for example, that we didn't catch when we were working at it, but she was really quick on finding each little usability problem or potential problem and helping us fixing that, because yet again, she has much experience doing other kind of web projects before this.
And that's awesome. How much time would you say you spent on this, you and Alex?
Well, I'm not sure. I think the project estimation of 100 hours of work is close to what we spent on the screen coding, but the project extended a bit because there are always some things that make you stop a few days and then continue. My pair Alex got really sick, and that was pretty bad because it had us all worried. He had pneumonia, and that set us back a week. But of course, that kind of things can happen, and it's not his fault. So that set us back a week. And also, at some point, they wanted to add some other features or check out if there was something missing, and that set us back another week. So I'm not sure about the real coding hours, but I think that the estimation of giving it only 100 hours it's okay for the level of what is expected for a beginner camper like us, for a person that is just starting with web development, and along the way it has to learn many things, not just what's on the curriculum, and so that sums up more hours than maybe a senior developer can do in the same time.
Okay. And so this is ready for delivery? When have you delivered, or when do you deliver it?
Yeah, we this as it is right now is already working. The only we already tested the data being sent to the database, which is hosted on MongoDB. We check that the data is being stored on the MongoDB, but also is sent to the client as CSV files automatically, and that's already tested, so the app is working. What's only missing are some details like translating these fields to Indonesian. That we have the translation, so we have to deliver today the full translated version, and maybe train the Amber and transfer all the accounts, which is the closing of the project. But this, as it is right now, is working, and it's not giving any errors. So that's why we said it's finished.
That's
of course,
great.
Yeah, of course, that this might have changes in the future, because, well, you may want to add another field or change something in the process, or maybe add another validation. And we'd be happy to keep working with Ember if she requires an update. So she has all of our best intentions in keep working with them and keep helping as much as we can.
That's really good, and it looks good. So before we end the call, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give new campers that have finished the curriculum and are getting ready to start their first nonprofit?
I'd say that my biggest advice is ask as much as possible. Don't be afraid of asking and spamming the chat if you don't get a CSS right, if you don't know which architecture will be the best, or if you had a bug in the API or want a code review, because not asking will set you back. And if you're learning, it's better to ask. And the worst that could happen is that the people on the chat will tell you, well, Google that. But it's better to do it than not do it.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Nathan.
Before we let Chris go, I have a couple questions from our viewers.
One second, Chris.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I can't actually hear what Chris is saying. I'm looking forward to watching the video afterward. I'm just going to message these to you, Nathan, and you can ask him directly.
Yep. I have some questions for you, Chris, from our viewers.
Sure.
All right. What Linux distro are you using?
I'm using a distro called Enlightenment. No, this is Body Linux, which is based on Ubuntu, but runs on the Enlightenment desktop machine, which is very minimalistic and pretty fast. And I like it a lot because of that, since my laptop is kind of old, but it runs very, very snappy on this distro, compared to Ubuntu, which is very loaded. and requires much more hard disk to do an install.
All right. The next question is, do you have some kind of analytics for this extension? Is that even possible? And they presume it would be useful if so.
Well, one of the restrictions of this project is that since it will run on a mobile connection, you want to use the internet as less as possible. So the only connection from the app to the network is just pinging the data server every minute, so you know that you're online, and sending the form data. Adding analytics is trivial, of course. You could just add the JavaScript for, let's say, Google or another tracking, and you're set. But we don't have analytics installed right now.
Okay. Max would like to know, how will the extension for Copernic be distributed? Will it be distributed through Google Apps or just a USB drive?
That's really the choice of Copernic, because of course making it public, well, it doesn't have any impact really, because there's no sensible data inside the app. It hits an API, but we made it so it uses an API key that's installed when you install the extension. So hitting the API with dump data or external data won't have any impact on the database. But we don't have it yet on Chrome App Store until Amber decides if it's going to be there or it's going to be installed manually. That's really the choice of the stakeholder, and the only we have to do to make it work with Chrome App Store is editing or manifest JSON, which is the configuration for the extension, and add the URL on which it will be installed, and some extra parameters required for uploading into the App Store. It's not really difficult, just maybe 3 lines of code.
All right. And on that, how many lines of code did you write for this between you and your partner?
I think that the longest was getting, well, the HTML right. It's kind of extensive, because every single box is custom in size and text and functionality. So some aspects of the app couldn't be make more dry. We have to repeat some stuff along our project, but the scripting, it's not too extensive either. Our main app, no, this is the interface app, is 300. The storage, which handles the storage database, is only 50 lines. The background, which handles the network of the app, is 100 lines. So we think it adds up to 400 lines, which is not too much. Also, the CSS, of course, it's pretty long. As I said, HTML and CSS consume a lot of our time to getting the form right, which is 650 lines. And on the other side, there's the backend, which is much smaller. I think it's a Express app using the classic GeoMan generator, and it only has one controller for the API, which, as you can see, is, well, Yeah, it's 30 lines. Which handles the API and what handles version to CSV. The SFT, it's 80 lines. So the backend is very lean and very small. Also, it's what you need. I don't think you need big, since it can handle errors, it can handle logs, it can handle what it's needed. That is receiving data and storing it on a database.
All right. Looks good, Chris. Thank you very much for your answers, and thanks for taking the time to show us around the app.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. And we have just a few more questions from the audience we'd like to answer before we close out the meeting. First of all, Michael, are you still with us, by the way?
I am. I'm here.
Wonderful. We had a question from Dad Saster, who asked, currently there's a gap between track completion and starting a project, like kind of a lull between finishing all the challenges and actually starting a nonprofit project, which I think was a question, or perhaps we can explain why that is.
Sure, yeah. So I'll just speak on it because I didn't really get a question out of that. But we turn down probably 80% of the applications that come in for various reasons. We really want to ensure that the projects will be useful in a camper's portfolio and that the stakeholders will be working with kind of meet our expectations. And as such, and in combination with the fact that we don't advertise outside of social media, there's been a slowdown in nonprofits applying for projects, and that's obviously a huge frustration in my job, knowing that there are tens of thousands of nonprofit organizations out there who don't know that we could help them. So a huge part of what we need to do is better educate nonprofits in ways that we can help. And so what we've been doing is Quincy and I have changed the onboarding process, and we're about ready to roll this out to better qualify nonprofits who are coming to our site. And we got feedback from a stakeholder who said, when I go to your site, if I was learning to code, I would completely understand what you do. But as an organization, I don't quite see how you help us. So we're changing everything that deals with how an organization applies for a project to just better educate them on the things that we can do, the things we've done, stuff like that. Obviously, all of this is with the goal of getting every camper who finishes their challenges a project to work on. And so, we are hugely grateful when you stick around and are involved in the community, and we're always trying to get you on a project as quickly as possible. I think it will help that, some campers they've taken the initiative and created a camper practice projects channel, and they're in there working on real things. We've given them a few things that we'd like to see built. When it comes to, I use worldtimebuddy.com and whentomeet.com to organize all of our projects. And it would be nice if something existed that, combine those things. So campers have taken the initiative and they're building that. And nothing is stopping you from building things while you wait for a nonprofit project. And I think the new Zipline challenges will only let you practice even more and be more prepared when it is time to build something for an organization. So thank you again for your patience. And I would just say that we're doing our best to get our name out there and get some projects lined up for y'all.
Great. Thank you, Michael. A follow-up question. Chill Train asks, how is maintenance of these projects handled after handoff?
Yeah, so maintenance, it's case by case. Basically, it really depends what you build. But you just want to keep in mind that your motivation for building these projects is to have it in your portfolio. So you would never want it to fall out of use or outdated as long as you're, saying that you built this project. So I think some maintenance is to be expected. It's really just in how you build it up front.
Another thing I'd like to add is some of the nonprofits may offer you some sort of maintenance contract, or you can continue to do pro bono work for them. But we are very hands off. Basically, after the project is done, that's really between you and the nonprofit stakeholder how you guys progress. And we want to give our campers full autonomy in continuing that project. If it's something that could be open source, for example, that's a discussion you guys can have. Our sole goal is to make sure that you have a good experience building the project for the nonprofit, and that you have, as Michael said, a solid portfolio project. All of this being with the goal of you getting either an entry-level software engineering job as a web developer, or pivoting your current career in a more technical direction and being able to get a pivot job. Another question we got also from Dad Saster is, can we see the other solutions once we've completed challenges? I think he's referring to the bonfires. And Nathan, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. That actually is planned functionality. The a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of lore, if you will. We got really gung ho about switching everything over to React. Well, it turns out that it's a Herculean effort because it's an entire code base rewrite, which is generally something you shouldn't do, but the benefits outweigh the risk. Which there really isn't a lot of risk. We're still progressing. So we revived a branch where we were doing a lot of the improvements that are going to be released imminently. The ability to compare yours against somebody else's, or just browse someone else's in general, will be available. The functionality will be when you go to their profile, you will be able to see a link to their completed bonfires. And you will only be able to see bonfires that you yourself have completed.
Excellent. Great answer. And we have one more question also from Alexander. I don't know how to pronounce your entire name. No offense. But Alexander, he's a regular in both our chat rooms and on our Twitch stream, and we really appreciate him. Also posts a lot on Camper News. So it's always a pleasure to see, Alexander, what you post on Camper News and discuss it. And Camper News, by the way, is a very alive initiative. We're going to continue to improve it. Somebody mentioned like they'd like to be able to delete comments that they made or at least edit them. Currently that functionality isn't supported, but obviously that's something we plan to integrate. We also plan to create email notifications so that if somebody responds to your comment, you'll get an email so you'll know that you can go back and respond to them. Otherwise, the only way you'd know is if you visited that page again to see if anybody responded, which isn't a very good user experience. So as you guys can tell, there are like a million different initiatives that we're juggling here. And the development team really is just me and Nathan and Berkeley, who's also here in San Francisco. He's my close friend. And we also have a lot of other contributors who I want to recognize right now. There's a guy named Christian who comes on our Twitch channel a lot. He's been contributing a lot. Nathan, who else has been helping a lot? James.
James, Mr. Renner. It's been getting good. Well, here, I will give you guys a look at how we actually manage FreeCodeCamp. Some people may be interested in the actual administration of an open source project. So this is what we see when we come in, and we can look here and see pretty much a list of contributors. So if I go into this and I wanted to assign it to someone, here's who we have that are contributors or that have contributed. So Christian is on there, Quincy, myself, Michael, Berkeley, Barnett, Brandon has contributed a lot of our bonfires. Let's see, James, he had to take a leave, but he helped contribute quite a bit. And Sir Charles, our neck beard meteor dev.
Yeah.
Victor,
and of course Victor.
who
Victor's
is
come on our stream as well.
yes,
So
yes.
And if you guys are hanging out in our stream and you guys start pointing out useful things or whatnot, we can always pull you in on Screen Hero, and you can basically be part of the stream. And when you're in Screen Hero, we can share your screen. So essentially, you can stream through us through FreeCodeCamp's channel. So we're all about giving you guys credit for anything you do. As you probably have guessed, FreeCodeCamp's a fully volunteer effort. So really our currency is not money, because there's no money to be had at this point, although we are eventually confident that we'll be able to make money by helping campers get jobs. Basically, recruitment fees, which is not charged to the camper, obviously. It's charged to, the big corporation that needs a JavaScript developer. They're routinely paying 12 to 33% of a first year salary. So once we have money for that, we can actually have a paid staff and potentially spend money on things like publicizing ourselves to nonprofits so we can have more and better nonprofit projects. But in the meantime, our currency is credit for having written commits, for having managed projects like Michael Johnson's doing, for having come up with bonfires and created courseware. Those are all things that we are actively seeking help with. And if anyone out there is interested in contributing to that, we would love to bring you on board and ramp you up to speed so you can succeed in creating those content. In fact, later today, I think I'm going to stream while Nathan is getting some much needed sleep. He's in Korea and I think it's 1 a.m. there. I'm going to be continuing to build our new nonprofit onboarding flow, but I may also stream some of like me building bonfires, just so you guys can see how easy it is to build bonfires with our infrastructure. We designed everything to maximize the ease of building bonfires, and you only need to touch one file, and you can do it pretty easily. I think I'll even do it in Cloud9 just to show you how easy it is. So unless there are any further questions, or Michael or Nathan, if either of you want to say anything further, I think we're getting close to the end of the hour.
Yeah, someone asked how close the zip lines and base jumps are to coming online. So what you see here in the left-hand pane is a view that is ready to accept controller action. Here is a controller ready to accept JSON interaction, and we have JSON over here. Now it's simply a matter of wiring everything up so it pipes in properly, and you guys will soon be starting the new adventure in CodeCamp.
Yeah, and I would just like to add, Jason, who's in Seattle, has done a great job managing our Twitch feed, and it turns out that watching people code and streaming what you're working on is a huge recruitment tool for campers, for new campers. So what Jason wants us to all know is that if you're a camper who's working on a nonprofit project and you'd like to stream when you're working on it while you're pairing, or just I would say even to show your progress for the week, team up with Jason. He's Jasonify on in Gitter and on Twitch, and he'll get you set up. The more we stream, the better. I mean, we want it going 24/7, ideally, and with campers all over the world, it's possible. So yeah, but that's about it. I think this community has grown incredibly fast, and it's changed so much since November, and all in good ways. So keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to working with all of you on nonprofit projects in the future.
Thank you very much, Michael. Nathan's going to get some sleep. I'm going to get some sleep. And we're going to be right back here on Twitch in maybe 4 hours or so, I'll start up the stream again. And if you guys would like to watch some more, please do. My parting advice to everyone is keep coding, code every day, and don't thrash. If you have trouble, reach out to friends, go to the help room on FreeCodeCamp, and just keep that forward momentum, because as long as you keep coding every single day, and as long as you keep that forward momentum, you guys will be able to get great coding jobs that are out there, and you will be able to have really creative, exciting careers. And that's our wish for all of you.
All right. Thanks everyone for
Well
watching.
said.
Pending any questions, I think I personally, it is 2 a.m. here, so I'm gonna have to bring everything offline.
All right. If you guys haven't already followed us on Twitch, please do, and you'll get notifications whenever our streams come on.
Follow us on Twitter too.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at FreeCodeCamp. We'd love to have you help us spread the word, and we'll tweet a lot of interesting stuff that's specifically relevant to JavaScript development and those kinds of jobs.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in Gitter.
All right. See you guys in Gitter. Thanks.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.